social media or phones, are they a tool or are they a threat?
I think they're both. And particularly as a parent, I think you do get worried about children. But some of what's out there in the media, it feels aggressive, attacking, fear-mongering, that it's rotting their brains, rewiring their brains.
It's not true.
There is absolute zero science on that.
Every single day, just staring at a TV and not talking to your partner and talking about how your day was is toxic.
For me, it's about presence. And I think smartphones are stealing our presence.
Do you feel people get rejected by their parents when they're on their phone too much?
And it does give me a little bit of a pang, is that some of my eldest's first experiences, I lived through a screen. That is going to make me emotional. But it's true, because I recorded them.
Are you going to make me cry? Smartphones get a bad reputation. We hear constantly that they're ruining our attention spans, destroying kids' brains, and the only answer is to ban them altogether. But what if we've got the wrong solution? Well, today I'm joined by Dr. Marta, and she's on a mission to show us that the answer to the smartphone problem isn't fear or prohibition, it's balance, boundaries, and smarter use. In this conversation, she's going to challenge the way we think about technology, offer evidence-based solutions that actually work for both kids and adults, and hopefully change my mind on what the real smartphone solution is. So if you've ever struggled with screen time yourself, or you're worried about how your children are growing up in this digital world, this episode is for you. I would also be so grateful if you could press that little tiny button on your digital device and press the like, follow, and subscribe button so I can have more impactful, meaningful, and incredible conversations like this. I'm very, very excited for you to hear this episode. Let's get into it. Marta, welcome to Millennial Mind.
Hello.
I'm actually very excited to have you here. I feel like I've wanted you on this podcast for so long. And finally, we're here to talk about your new book, The Smartphone Solution. But for people who don't know who you are, how would you introduce yourself and why should they stay and listen to the end of this episode?
I'm Dr. Marta. I'm a clinical psychologist with 20 years of clinical experience. I'm also a mother of two little ones, a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. And you should listen to this because maybe you'll learn something about smartphones that you didn't know before.
Well, you're here to change my mind today on how there is a solution and that the solution is not to just throw your phone in the bin, never give your child a phone and think it's all doom and gloom.
Yes.
But do you think social media or phones, are they a tool or are they a threat?
I think they're both. I think they're a tool, but we all own smartphones.
Yeah.
Everybody I know has a smartphone. Every adult I know has a smartphone. And I just think we use them really badly. And I think they can become a threat to our relationships, to how we feel present in a moment with somebody, whether it's a child or an adult or even at work. I think they can be a threat to our well-being and like how we feel. And we're not very good at thinking about how the content that we're watching on a smartphone makes us feel in the real world, here and now.
Yeah.
We kind of dive in. I always think of smartphones like when you put in a passkey or you open it, you open your phone, it's like a trap door that opens and you're like entering a different world. And I don't think we are very aware of when we do it.
Yes.
And then how it feels when we come out, which is so different to how we experience walking in and out of other rooms. For example, if I walk into a bathroom, I'm very aware, close the door, sit down, wash my hands. Do you know what I mean? Like we physically experience that movement. But I think with technology, it's so quick, it's so rapid. We're physically not moving. We're in one place.
Yes.
And I think we forget that actually our brains are taking us somewhere. And then we're pulling out of that place. And sometimes our emotions have been shaken up. Maybe you suddenly feel really angry or you feel really anxious or you feel elated and then you're just jumping into the next bit. And sometimes without meaning to, I feel like we project those emotions onto other people around us. That's when you might get shouty or you might be anxious and then you miss something important because something's just happened and you haven't processed it. So I want us all to build a bit more awareness about how technology makes us feel and how we enter and exit those spaces too.
I've never actually heard that before. So interesting. Like when you're walking into your house, you know that that's like your safe place, right? When sometimes you're walking to work and you're like swiping your fob key, not like I am here, don't worry. Some people might feel really anxious, like when you're swiping your key card. And actually, if I think back to when I used to work and I used to swipe my key card, I used to feel anxious at that point because I knew I was entering into a workplace that I didn't necessarily enjoy. Yeah. When I'm walking into a restaurant, I know I'm going to enjoy the food. But when I'm on my phone, I've just thought about it. Like I always use Face ID, right? Rarely ever use my phone unless I'm looking really terrible. And my phone's like, what the hell? Who the hell is this? But I never really type the password in, which means I'm not really conscious of the fact that now I'm entering into a new space and I maybe need to have a bit of mental prep for it. If I'm going to have a difficult conversation with someone, I'm mentally prepping for it, right? If I'm going to go give a talk and open up this door to a stage or whatever, I'm mentally prepping for it. So that is actually a really powerful thing that you just said for me, because I've never really looked at it in that way.
And once upon a time, I'm not saying we should go back to this, although it is a little bit of a solution in homes with children, I think. The retro landline, you used to be like having that difficult conversation. You used to pick up and be like, okay.
Yes.
And then the dialing would also prepare you. It's part of that process. Now so you pick up, text message just pops up and you read what you read. And I think I've started to learn how to do that for myself. Maybe it's just me, but I'm very aware that certain people will message me and I know that might shake up, my emotions. So I won't read it. But you need that sense of self-awareness and also that impulse control to be able to go, oh, and I mean, this is true. Oh, there's a text message from my mother. I'm on my way to this podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read it now because I'm going to mull it over. I don't have time to talk to her. It's going to shake up my emotion. I'm just going to leave it because it's not urgent. And I will come back to it when I'm at home on my sofa, with a drink. Read the message, respond, right? But how many of us do that? And are we aware that we are like, oh, I've got 5 messages. Do you just scroll and read them all? You're not actually absorbing the information. I think text messages, again, I think what we need to think about is it's not the smartphone itself that's the threat. It's the content we consume on it. And a lot of that content is created by humans. There's a human on the other side of that.
Right.
And I think the same way that we would be more mindful of, entering a room, knocking on someone's door.
Yeah.
Maybe just be mindful of when you open that text message.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what it actually says inside. Because it can shake you up. And if you've got one of those smartphones where all the texts come up so you start to see the lines, I think that can feel like a threat.
Yes.
Because you look at it, you're like, oh my God, look at all these messages. So again, notice if you're the kind of person that finds that anxiety provoking, there are tools you can use to limit that so that actually your phone doesn't show you anything until you choose to access it.
I actually want to come back to what you just said there around it's other people making you feel anxious. I want to challenge you on that in a little while. But before I do, why did you write this book? Like, what was the research showing you and telling you as to why this was a problem?
So I wrote this book because I'm a mother and the smartphone conversation is important to me. And I think over the past couple of years, it's kind of been growing. I actually remember watching, what's it called? The Social Dilemma.
Yes.
And that was years ago. And I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was like 4 or 5 years ago. And I watched it and I remember creating a post on Instagram saying, we need to talk about this. And at the time, it didn't get like a lot of traction, which I find really interesting. And I went back to read that post and I say the same things I say now. So I was like, well, good to know that I'm consistent.
Yeah.
But, I think it's started to grow. I think the media's picked up on things. But I think for me, so we're all worried about smartphone use. I think for ourselves, and particularly as a parent, I think you do get worried about children. But some of what's out there in the media is not scientific. Like it feels aggressive, attacking, fear-mongering. It feels like what we are building is a sense of fear. And fear is not a healthy position to move from. Like fear makes you either fight or run away, right? Avoid it. Or like fight it off, like this isn't true. I don't believe you. It's like a panic that's building up, but it's not got any substance. Or you just go, we should ban smartphones. Let's all get rid of them. Why do we even watch TV? 0 screens. Like it goes extreme.
Right.
And I was like, right, this is wild to me. There's a nuance here. technology can be useful.
Yes.
Technology is really helpful to me. Like, I've written a book. There's no chance I would have written a book on paper. Like, the idea of editing my book on paper is like, that would affect my well-being and my life. And I think it probably would take me 10 years to do.
Yeah.
So, gosh, I'm so glad that we've got, technology, laptops. I wouldn't be where I am in writing a book if it wasn't for social media. Like, I'm not blind to that. I'm really grateful to that. I went on social media and people, for some reason, value what I say. And I got this amazing opportunity to write books. So I was like, there's a balance. I think we need to learn how to use technology well. And we haven't. And one of the things that I've been reflecting on, because I got a new phone recently, and I often wait quite a long time to get a phone, but I got the new one that came out and it's got a new button.
Right.
And I'd never used it before. I did not read the instructions manual. It doesn't come with an instruction manual. Of course. I used it and took a photo like straight away, and it was so intuitive. And I said to my husband, this is amazing. Like, they build, these companies, tech companies, build things in a way that makes so much intuitive sense. You don't need to learn. You just go, what's this? Oh, look, done. Yeah. Sorted. And that's one of the reasons why we've not had the time to process, like, what is some of this doing to us? What are the benefits, but what are the harms? I think we've just run with it because it feels easy and it makes sense. And it's so much of the time it's useful, but there are times where it's not. And I think we're all aware of that. I think there's a little bit inside of all of us going, something about smartphones feels wrong or feels uncomfortable, or seeing a child, little hands with this, smartphone thing, like, oh, why is that off? And then when the media pick that up and use fear messages that tap into our emotions, that make us go, that's what I've been feeling.
Right.
Even if it's not science, I think that's when something like this kind of escalates. And so for me, I wanted to write a book that was based on science, because I don't believe in fear. Yeah. I believe that you can know the truth and still make healthy choices. Like, we can make similar choices with smartphones, whether it's delaying, whether it's changing our relationship with them as adults, but we don't need the fear with it. We just need the awareness, the understanding. And I believe that we can all do that. That's why I wrote my book, because I was like, I feel like we need something that says smartphones aren't great all the time, but they're also not the devil.
Yes.
So let's learn to use them better for the benefit of our life, everyday life, but also particularly for me as a mum and a clinical psychologist who works with families, for the benefit of our children and the future. Because we didn't learn how to use them well because nobody taught us. Yes. But we can change that. Like, we can change, we're breaking lots of cycles, I feel, my generation of parents. This is one of those cycles I feel like we can break.
Yeah. And what are some of these things that you think are harmful that the media are sharing that's fear-mongering parents or people right now?
So things like that it's rotting their brains. Okay. That it's rewiring their brains.
It's not true.
There is absolute zero science on that. Like,
so you don't think that...
We don't know is more the right answer.
Got it.
Right? I'm not going to stand here and go, definitely not. But as somebody who's worked in health, worked with neurologists, I've never seen kids who have... and has done lots of neuropsychology assessments. I've never seen a kid whose brain has been rewired because of a smartphone. Like, that's not a thing. Okay. I can temporarily shift our attention. Yes. Our attention spans are affected by the buzz and the speed of things. And I think we inadvertently are training our brains to need things quicker. Yes. Which is one of the harms, right? Especially with young people, teenagers, the amount of teenagers that I see that like really struggle with delayed gratification. Yeah. They need everything immediately. And I'm like, it's not like online. Yeah. The world is not like that. Yeah. The world, most of every day is delayed gratification. Yeah. Whether it's your paycheck at the end of the month, where it's finding the love of your life. It's not going to happen straight away. You might have to go through lots of frogs before you find your prince. So true. Whether it's having a baby. Yeah. You might be like, I want it now. Well, it might not happen. Like, that's not how we work. That's not how humans work. We are slow. Technology is super fast. It's way faster than us. It's faster than science, which is one of the issues. Science has not caught up with technology. It never will. Like, honest truth, it can't. Technology advances at the speed of light and we are very slow. But that's important to know because we need to be slow. We shouldn't be like technology. We need to stay human. So one of those risks is that. I think the other one is the idea that they're addictive. I really don't like that word when it comes to smartphones. I have a problem with it.
Why?
Because addiction is an important word.
Okay.
And I, having worked with people who have problems with addiction and knowing them personally as well, like in extended circles of friends and family, I think it's important to honor that an addiction is something that really breaks down your life so that you cannot function. If smartphones are addicted, that means our entire society has broken down. But we're all holding down jobs. I've got a smartphone. I'm holding down a job. I have a family. I have kids. I am not like in a financial crisis. I'm not in a social crisis, you know?
But some people are when they don't have their phones.
But are they?
I think okay, this is not a stat. So like, I can't say, but I would love to know from people, if you left the house and you left your phone at home, how many people would go back? I think it would be.
But is that an addiction or is that because you're so used to it?
If you physically cannot go to work, right, without your phone, because you will miss social media. Let's say there's no say you have your wallet on you, so you don't have to worry about the Apple Pay. Let's say, I don't know, what else do people, you can call someone from your work phone, so you know their number, it's written on your hand, tattooed on your hand, because no one remembers anyone's numbers anywhere.
Nobody knows that.
But let's say you do have a number that you do remember at work. So if you need to call someone, you can as an emergency. Let's say you have your lunch with you. Let's say you have a wallet with you, so you don't need to worry about any of the basics, like from travel or food or anything from your phone. Let's say your sole reason was you use your phone for social media.
But nobody does that. That's the problem.
I think most people would come home.
I think lots of people would come home, but I don't think that's the reason. And it's not an addiction. It's a habit. And not only a habit, it's a compulsion, right? It's a compulsive behavior.
What's the difference between a compulsive behavior and an addiction?
Compulsive behavior is something that you're not aware of, but that you just do automatically, right? Like you do it automatic. An addiction is something that it's not just automatic. It's you're having, you need to the point where you go back to get your phone, but you're going to be 3 hours late for work, right? Given everything you've told me, you're going to be 3 hours late for work and you might lose your job.
Wow.
Let's put it in that context, right? And you're telling me somebody would say, even with everything else, if I can't check my social media, I'm going home and I'm going to lose my job and then potentially financial resources until you get your next job. I think most people would not.
What about when you're on holiday and you're sitting on a beautiful beach and you have to go to a computer to check your social media, and instead of enjoying that beautiful beach, you're upstairs in this tiny conference room in this hotel checking your social media?
Loads of people do that.
I did that when I was 16. That's me.
When you were 16, I think again,
because I didn't have social media. I didn't have social media on my phone.
Yes.
But I remember being on holiday, and I think we were in Thailand, and you only have to go to that business suite in the hotel.
I've been in those as well.
Excuse me, can I just use your internet for 5 minutes? You put in a code, and then you sit there and you're staring at all your boyfriends, and all your boyfriends didn't have many then, but one boyfriend, just looking at everything that they're doing because you have no contact with them, right? And you're
context really matters. Context matters. And I think that's important. Teenagers have a need to belong with their peers, their boyfriends, their whatever. Even if you're in the best holiday in the world with your family,
right?
You want to be connected with your friends. And actually, that is a positive thing of smartphones. It connects teenagers with their friends when they're not together. But, there are ways of teaching your child how to stay connected positively without it being every day, every minute of every day. But yeah, I remember those holidays. And if I'm honest, I hated them. And I didn't have a phone. I'm pre-smartphone era. We've got big age gap, you and me. But
not that big.
I remember sitting on these beautiful beaches, just counting down the hours that I'd go home and meet my friends again. But that's what being a teenager is about.
Right. Okay. So that is specific to teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I think as an adult, I mean, who hasn't sat on a beautiful beach, got their phone, taken a photo, put it on Instagram? You do that.
Of course.
And you do that because we've got into this habit of sharing our experiences of the world. I sometimes think, social media and our phones have trained us into really bad habits. But one of them is, if I'm doing something really good, I should share it. Like, I used to run a lot pre-kids. I'm getting back into it. But, running is a thing for me. I love it. I love it for my mental health. And sometimes I had this feeling of, I need to go a bit further and then I can post it. And I found it motivational.
Right.
It would get me going. But then like the posting it was kind of, and now it's real. Like, look what I did.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting because that's not necessary.
Yes.
But I think social media and things like the photos and the videos and all of that, it kind of makes you feel like you need that external validation. And we need to, do the work on ourselves to be like, I don't need that external validation. It just feels as good to do it and then to see it and be like, I did that. But can you learn to do that?
Yes.
Because our phones have made it so easy to get all the, oh my God, you ran 25K, you're amazing, if that feels good.
So
and I am going to give it, that nuance. It's okay if that feels good for you.
Yeah.
If that's going to get you moving your body, which is a healthy thing.
Correct. Do it.
I don't care.
Yeah, do it.
To me, that's not an addiction. So that's why I have a problem with it, because we talk about it like it's so negative when actually maybe that's a really positive thing for some people. Maybe for me, I can work on the fact that I don't need that external validation. I can go for a run and not tell anybody, and that's okay.
Yes.
But you and I are different, like we're all different. We all have different motivations.
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think the bad bit would be, like I said, you're going to lose your job if you're late.
Correct.
But you still turn back. Okay, you have a problem.
Yes.
And I would say there are a group of people, but they're really small.
I agree with you, yeah.
Who are like that. Who are like, I can't. And what I want to help people with is, in my book, I talk about why I call it a bad habit and why it's more of a compulsion than an addiction.
Yes.
And I give you strategies to work through it, because I feel like it's really important that you feel empowered and in control of technology, not the other way around. Oh my God, we're all addicted. We're helpless. No, we're not. We're not.
Yes, we have a choice.
You have a choice.
Correct.
And when you start to make changes like I have done, you will start to trip up. So I no longer hold my phone all the time at home, but that means I sometimes do leave without it.
Right. I do.
And
as well.
sometimes I'm like, it's okay. I'm just doing pickup. I don't need my phone. Like, it's fine.
I love that.
Other times I'm like, I'm getting on a bus, so I need to go back, right? But then it helps me learn, I need a new habit.
Carry a wallet.
To carry a wallet. To remember, when do I have to pick it up and when do I leave it, right? And that little bit of anxiety, I'm not with my phone. That's about changing habits.
Yes.
So again, I could go back to exercise as an example, but if you ever start running, initially for me, I found it anxiety. I would put on my trainers and be like, I'm really anxious. Like, I don't know if I can do 5K. Oh my God. And people will see me and I'm not running well and I don't look like a runner. All that kind of, I'm telling you real fears of mine pre-running. I used to even get tearful about it. Really? But over time, that shifts because you feel confident. And that's part of changing a habit and building a habit. And it's the same thing with our phones.
It's so true. I mean, there's so much you said there. I think the first thing I want to kind of go back to with the holiday thing is, I heard Gary Vee talk about this, and he said, how many of us are more excited about the pictures we're going to share from the holiday that we've booked than we are about experiencing that actual holiday? Right?
I love that.
How many of us are so excited to say, I went to this beach and I wore this and I did that, rather than actually genuinely being excited to go to that place? But I actually remember seeing something as well of somebody saying, I was on holiday and I was watching this most amazing sunset, right? But I was scrolling on my phone, missing out on all the things that my friends were doing. And when I heard that, I remember hearing it in a reel. And when I heard that, I thought, I am never going to do that ever again. And even on my holiday just now, I never post in real time. Like, I'll take a video. And I remember I was watching the sunset and I took a video. And then I remember being like, what am I doing? Put the phone down and just watch the sunset, right? And I think that we have become so obsessive with sharing everything. And I do that all the time. I share a lot of my life on social media. But I think we also have to remember that we can still do it in a very safeguarding way. Like people think I share everything. And like everyone was like, oh my God, during your wedding and stuff, you post everything. I'm like, you have no idea how little I actually was on my phone. You have like no clue. And this is the thing with social media. It's like you never truly know how much someone is sharing with you.
You also don't truly know what that experience was to take that photo.
100%.
Or that video.
How do you know I did it?
Exactly.
How did you know I just didn't have a tripod there, like
Yeah,
pressing record on, off?
And I'm going to give you a both and. I think there is a way, and the balance will be different for everyone.
Yeah.
There is a way of taking a photo of the sunset and experiencing the sunset. And you can make those choices. I talk about it. For me, it's about presence.
Right.
And I think smartphones are stealing our presence.
Yes.
Since having children, I had this real like epiphany at some point. But, I took so many photos of my first, so many videos. And when you have a second, it's not that you don't, but you do less.
Of course.
It's just the way of life. But one of the things I really realize, and it does give me a little bit of a pang, is that some of my eldest's first experiences, whatever, I lived through a screen.
Wow.
That's going to make me emotional. But it's true, because I recorded them.
Are going to make me cry.
But I love watching them back. So there's a part of me that's like, I don't regret it because I have it. And I love watching them. And I do watch them, by the way.
Of course.
I'm like, oh, remember when she was chunky?
Yeah.
And with my second, I have less. I spent more time experiencing her without a phone because I'd already had a bit of an epiphany. And so now I make a choice, like a conscious choice. They do beautiful play together now, like role play, they're doing a cafe, whatever.
Yeah.
And I sometimes watch and I'm like so wanting to like grab my phone and video it. And then I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Just be.
Just be.
And then at some other point, I might come along and snap a photo, And it's okay, you can do both. But maybe make it a conscious choice rather than this compulsive action of I have to put everything on film. You do not. And you can choose the things that you want to keep that are important. So I think you can take a quick photo of the sunset and put it down. Sunsets take time. But then just experience it. Get a drink.
Yeah.
Spend time with the people who are there. Watch it. Let your body really record the memory. Because I have memories now with my daughters that I feel like I see them on video and I'm like, they're beautiful, but I don't have that as a body. Yeah, I don't have it as an embodied memory, but I do now. And I can't go back in time.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that, especially if you're a parent, don't feel, of course I get a pang, but don't feel bad for the choices you made.
Yeah.
I think when you become aware and if you choose to make different choices, just move forward with that. It's okay. It's not like you did something terrible. You didn't, but maybe you can do something that feels, for me, it feels more genuine to the kind of mum I want to be with my kids.
I love that. I think that's so powerful because I also think that there's so many things that we miss when we film things, like the sound, like the feeling. Like I've never, I remember just again, back to the sunset example, when you put your phone down, you actually hear the waves. It's very different because you're not just staring through a phone. But I kind of want to go back to the tools that you were telling me that you mentioned in your book around what parents can do to kind of start shifting from this I'm going to stop saying addiction, compulsive picking up their phone to being more present and more aware of what they're doing.
So I think for me, number one is separate yourself from your phone.
Yeah.
Start to build so all habits, you need to start really tiny. So do something that you're like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because if you do all of it at once, you're going to fail. It's like the people who never go to the gym and they, get a gym membership in January and go to every class. And by week 3, they're like, I'm done. I've quit.
Yeah. It's so true.
So start tiny. So I think recognize when you carry your phone and when you don't. Maybe just that little awareness, maybe do that for a couple of weeks,
right.
Because I feel like we hold them like they're pets or, mini Tamagotchis, modern Tamagotchis.
Have them around your neck.
Yeah. And you're like, we stroke them,
mad.
And we're like, ding, oh, what do you need? Actually, maybe. So step 1, separate yourself from your phone to make that easier. Maybe you want to switch off notifications. Maybe you only keep the ones that you need. I call it a notification detox.
Nice.
I did that. Okay. And it was like, wow, it was really amazing. I don't need to know the news when the news comes up. I don't need to know the weather.
Yeah, true.
I will check the weather and I will check the news. And,
Yeah.
there's so many apps that you will check, you will look at when you need to.
Correct.
I've muted most of my WhatsApps because, no, thank you. I will go there when I want to go there, right?
Right.
So think about that. Think about that door that you open.
Yes.
And when do you want to go in?
True.
So that would be my step 1. 2, I talk about finding a home for your phone that isn't you. Your body is not the home, right? So I've started to do things like I put my phone in my bag rather than in my pocket. I plug it in when I get home, which is great because it's charged. So when I need to use it, it's actually not running out of battery as opposed to before running around, I've only got 20%.
Constantly. I'm always on 2%.
Exactly. But, charge it and then, oh my God, revolutionary. Don't mute it. Put it on sound. So you're walking around the house and you can still hear it, a bit like a doorbell, right? When somebody rings at the door, it's the postman. You don't keep checking and opening the door.
Yeah.
But we do that. Again, think about it as a door. You do that with your phone. Has anybody messaged? No. Why are you checking? That's the compulsive bit. You don't need to keep checking, right? You don't open your front door all the time. You wait for the doorbell to ring. Wait for the phone to ring. Just leave it. And also when you hear it, sometimes if you're in the middle of something, happens to me all the time, I might be like, well, in a minute, they'll leave me a message because they will. And I can just go and check it. There's nothing, unless it's in your working hours, there's nothing super urgent that needs to be, done. Give yourself that moment. Be human, You're not technology. It doesn't have to be at the speed of light. So I think that would be my first tip. And then once you do that, loads of little things will start to change. There's a ripple effect with habits. When you set one habit, loads of other things happen. And there's loads of other habits. I mean, some important ones, especially as a parent, is don't make your phone like the biggest priority. The thing that you put on the table. I think of it as opening a door, but the phone is like a third person, like in our situation, you and me. If we had a phone on this table now, there's a third person. And maybe if it's my phone, I have an intimate relationship with that person, but you don't. So if it buzzes or rings and I look at it, it can give you that sense of rejection.
Yes.
Because this other person is now more important to me. But when you have 3 people around a table, you would not do that. You wouldn't mid-conversation be like, and I'm just focusing on you. And, this person doesn't. We don't do that, right? But when we pick up our phones, we go silent.
Right.
Because we've opened that door, completely silent. And we read, and then we're like, sorry. And you're like, well, what just happened there? What was that intimate conversation that I missed out on? Wasn't it you and me a minute ago? I think that's really important. And with children, the message we don't mean to, but it's the message that gets passed on is there's something really important in that magic box, in that phone. There's something so important. I want to be a part of it. Why do kids want smartphones? Because we have them.
No, because their friends have them.
Their friends have them because their parents have them and they ask their parents for a phone, right? But no, kids started to say, I want a smartphone because you have it. Right. Kids want what we have. So true, why does my daughter go, when can I wear lipstick? Because I wear it. Yeah. And I talk about it and I'm like, you can't, but you can wear, Vaseline or whatever. She's like,
pink Vaseline,
glossy. Well, and we educate, I educate her about makeup, that she doesn't need it to be beautiful, but it can be something that, it's a bit creative. She's very creative. So I'm like, it's a bit like clothes. Sometimes you wear it, sometimes you don't, It's about how you want to feel on a certain day.
Yes.
Whatever. But we don't educate our kids about what we're doing on our phones. We make them feel like it's this incredible, powerful item that they really need. And I have this weird thought that when teenagers go on their phones, and I hear parents say this to me all the time, my kid's on his phone nonstop, he's like, he ignores me, he doesn't want to talk to me, he's in there nonstop. I'm always thinking, this is confronting, but how many times did you do that to your kid when he was little? Go on your phone and go, just a minute. We all do it.
But what if you're working? Up. Like for someone like me, I work a lot on my phone. Like all the time. So do I. And on Instagram, I'm often editing, adding a bloody trending sound, adding those stupid captions, and same with TikTok. I am always on my phone. Now, I want to challenge you a little bit on this kind of like third person in the room theory. Okay. I think that I see my friends, and I don't even see my friends that much. I think I see my friends and associate with people a lot more than my parents did. Right? Because we all live a bit closer. You can grab a coffee. You know, we all have a lot more means. Like my parents were working like from morning till the evening, and then they would maybe see their family and friends on the weekend. It wasn't as often as we're like, should we grab a coffee? Should we go for a walk? Should we go for a juice? Right? So then when they were with their friends, they didn't have smartphones, number one, but they were fully present because they didn't have anything else to distract them. But also they hadn't caught up with their lives on social media. They hadn't caught up with each other in probably months. I'm seeing what my friends are doing every single minute of the day, posting their morning coffee. I already know their coffee order. I've ordered it before they've come. And then I'm seeing them for like the third time this week. Or that's actually a lie. Let's just say once a week. And on that day when I'm seeing them, I've got someone who said to me, by the way, Shivani, I'm sending you a contract through. You need to sign it. Or, you know, your payment is delayed. Like Luke said to me the other day, like, hello, you haven't paid your invoice. I'm like, shit, I need to pay this right now. But I'm sitting with my friend. And I know if I don't pay that invoice, I'm going to forget again. And I'm going to pay a fee. So in that moment, I'm like, I'm really sorry. 1 second. I just need to quickly do this. Right?
But do you tell them what you do?
No.
So that's my tweak. It's tiny. Talk about it.
Yeah. I'm going to pay this invoice or I'm going to forget.
Yeah, I'm going to pay this invoice or I'm not going to get paid. Like, I'm really sorry I missed it. Talk about it. Because that stops you from disconnecting. It actually connects you with the online bit. Same as a parent, you know, something comes up like, oh, daddy's coming home. You know, daddy just sent me a message, he's coming home. Oh, I forgot to buy the dog food. I need to quickly buy the dog food, right? But my children are hearing what I'm actually doing in real time rather than silence.
Yeah, just 1 second. You're annoying me now.
I'm back. Yeah. And I'm like, that disconnect over time filters down into whatever's happening in there is way more important than me.
Do you feel people get rejected by their parents when they're on their phone too much?
I think we have some science to say that, yes, that happens. And it's the same in couples. They did some really interesting couple research. And couples have more conflict when, I mean, is this surprising? It increases conflict when either partner kind of picks up the phone mid-conversation or if there's, you know, at a meal. So they did this test around a meal and some of them were told to pick up and not. And then they had to say, and the word that came up over and over again was, I feel rejected. Like, I feel like something more important is going on. And over time that can accumulate, right? In a couple relationship, like it can build up into resentment and conflict. And you might not even know why. You suddenly feel unseen by your partner. But all those little minutes,
so true,
they accumulate. And it's such a little thing.
It is, honestly.
But as soon as you say it, but also saying it, right? Oh, I got a text from, oh, you know what? I don't need to do this. Like so instantly, as soon as you say it, I got a text. Yeah, but I don't need to see this. Why am I'm at home, I can put my phone away. Around the dinner table, you might be like, oh, why is it on the table? Putting it in my bag. You know, suddenly you just become more accountable, more aware. And more respectful in your relationship with the other that you're with, which for me is so important.
Wow.
I think we don't want our teens stuck on a screen. So we need to model that. We need to embed this.
True. It's so true. I think the respect thing you just said is really powerful. I mean, a couple of months ago, Nicola and I got into this really bad habit. Okay, we both work quite like early to like late hours. So when he comes home, what we love to do is watch Netflix and start a series. So he would come home, I'd have dinner ready, have dinner ready, watch TV, go straight to bed, right? And then I got invited to a restaurant, really nice restaurant. I didn't want to go. Do you know why? I wanted to stay at home and watch. I didn't go. Happened again the following week. It was like, we got another really nice invite. And I said to him, shall we just go? And he was like, okay. And I was like, actually, you know what? I can't be bothered. And he was like, you know what? Let's go, right? We went to this dinner and we had such a nice time because we hadn't actually connected. And now we've changed the habit in our house that we are only allowed to do that twice a week. Because look, if I'm honest, growing up, I didn't grow up in a household where we didn't have a TV while we were having dinner. So for me, it is very normal. It's very normal to watch TV whilst I'm having dinner. For him, he had kind of a mix. And what we said is when we have children, we are never going to have a TV while we watch dinner. We're never going to do it. You know, we've got all these extremes in our head. I'm never going to use my phone. I'm going to do all of this stuff. Of course we do, because it's imaginary. I don't have to do it right now.
Idealized.
And now, and then what we said to each other that day was like, if we are doing this every single day, when we have kids, not only are we going to be tired from like our work bullshit, I'm going to be tired of their bullshit. So when they come home, I'm going to be like, I don't want to hear about all your stuff because I'm not used to it. I'm used to sitting, watching TV and plonking myself. So now we only do that twice a week. And slowly, we are going to have to shift into like having dinner on the dinner table, which is a normal thing. But because
lots of people don't do it.
Yeah, but also it's difficult because we never get to really watch TV together and enjoy a series because on the weekends we're seeing our families or we're out or whatever. So we also want to make sure we have that balance. But I think every single day, just staring at a TV and not talking to your partner and talking about how your day was is toxic.
I think if you do it nonstop, it is. But it's okay to do it sometimes.
Exactly.
So maybe, like
I
love that you're doing
twice a week.
Yeah,
like, our rule is twice a week. We get to enjoy that, but then we get to do this. Now, I want to talk about the topic that I actually brought you on to talk about. I feel like we've talked about everything else. What age should we give our children phones?
For me, it's definitely not before the age of 13, 14.
Why?
So many reasons. But I mean, number one, I think developmentally children haven't got the impulse control, the emotional, I don't want to say maturity because they're not emotionally mature at 13, 14, but they haven't got the emotional skills to kind of deal with what the unfiltered internet gives them and social media gives them and all of that. And yes, you can use parenting controls, but kids will bypass them. And it's just true. I mean, I spend too much time with teenagers. They all bypass them.
Of course they do.
We
did it.
Yeah, there's so many routes to still see what you want to see if you want to see it. Right? So for me, it's about being aware. You give them a smartphone, you're giving them like a supercharged mini computer.
Okay.
And you need to think, is my child responsible for the cost of it? Like it's a luxury item. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
Like even if you're giving them a hand-me-down, please recognize that it's a financial cost. Okay. One, they're not created for children. So, two, what's the benefit? Like, what are you giving it to them for? Why do you think they need it? I think that's really important.
Well, there are social friendships.
Yeah, social friendships. That's not a bad reason.
People will say, well, my kids feel like they're the loser. I used to lie that I had an iPod in school because I was the only one who didn't have an iPod in school. And I still remember. And I was in year 7. I'm 32 now. I remember the exact moment I told someone I had a green iPod at home. The person's not even going to remember, so I'm not even going to get shamed for it. But lots of kids will feel that if all of their friends have phones, that they might, like you said, it's a financial implication. They're poor. They've got a phone, which isn't a smartphone. They've just got a brick phone. So their parents are not successful, which means that they are not going to be successful, which means that they should feel embarrassed. Kids have all of these thoughts when they're younger and they start to make things up in their heads because they don't understand why their parents aren't giving them phones. So what would you say to parents who are facing that problem right now, which, their kids feel isolated, they're not part of the WhatsApp groups, so they're excluded. They don't know what's going on at the parties. They're not told about the secret parties. They're not part of the midnight chats that they all talk about in the classroom the next day. They're not part of the games that they're all playing. So now your kid is the loser.
That's so harsh,
isn't
it? Your kid is not the loser.
No, but I'm saying that's how people might feel.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
I'm not saying your kid is a loser. But I'm just saying people might feel that way.
So I think that is a reality for lots of parents. And it's super hard. But I think our job as parents is to safeguard and protect our kids and teach them skills for living well, in a nutshell. I think giving them a smartphone has risks embedded within it. And you need to be aware of that. And if you are willing to give your child a smartphone at, 13 plus, or even for parents who have given it earlier, I think you need to be aware that those risks are there. And so you now need to mitigate them. And it takes time.
Right.
And it takes effort. And in my book, I give you tools for that as well, because I think it's really important. It's never too late to kind of change a bad habit. But for the parents who are saying, you're moving into secondary school and you're not getting a smartphone, you are the kid who is going to be left out. First of all, there are ways around it.
Okay.
And second,
what are those ways? Tell me.
So ways around it are about thinking, I think we need to reframe what being left out or missing out is about. Because if you're excluded by your friends, that's about your friendships. That's not about your phone. Kids who get excluded, kids who get excluded online are probably already being excluded in their real friendships at home, like in the real world. And online is going to both like accentuate it and compound it. It's going to be so much worse online. So I worked with a girl. Well, I've worked with lots of kids, but a particular girl was talking to me about the fact that she didn't have a smartphone, but her mum allowed her to have WhatsApp on her mum's phone and have a group with her friends. And a few hours in the evening after school, she could chat to them. So that's one route.
Okay.
You can also get WhatsApp on a desktop. So I would also suggest that to parents. Your child can still be part of chats, but in a boundaried, safer way.
Right.
Because you can be like, you can sit on my desktop or my laptop, have your WhatsApp while I'm cooking dinner, but I'm also around to kind of watching. What photo did you get sent? Why is somebody asking you to send them a photo? Whatever it is, have those conversations with your kids. There's a lot happening on WhatsApp groups that if you can't see it, you're not around, you're not supervising it very carefully, you will miss.
What about disappearing messages?
Yeah, loads of that. But then you can ask, you don't get them back. You need to build trust with your child and open dialogue to be like, I don't know what got deleted here, but are you okay? Is what you saw okay? Is there something you want to talk about? You can always talk to me. I think you're the most powerful tool. So making yourself the safe person where they're like, you're not going to reject me, punish me.
Right.
You know, you're actually going to support me. And you need to build that trust. It's your responsibility as a parent to build that trust. So if there's a deleted message, rather than being like, right, that's it, you can't have WhatsApp anymore. Like that's going to rupture your child's ability to trust you with things that are hard. You need to be able to say, there's obviously a deleted message. I don't know what it is. You can share it with me or not. But more importantly, how are you feeling? Because you deleted that. So are you okay? You know, that's what you should be caring about. How is your child sitting with what they've seen or not seen or whatever? But going back to this girl, because I think it's an important story. She was going on WhatsApp on her mum's iPhone WhatsApp. And then she discovered that her friends had opened a different group that she just was excluded from. And they were like, we don't want your mum seeing these messages, so you're excluded. And this mum told me about it. We had a big conversation about it. And you know, the reality of that is this girl was being excluded by those friends. Those friends were not great friends. So truth, fact, a good friend of your child will not exclude them, even if your child doesn't have a smartphone. So if they have access, you know, for a few hours, they'll be like, quick, we need to get her involved or get him involved. What can we share? You've only got an hour. Like a good friend will pull you in. I'm even going to say this and parents won't like it. A good friend who has a smartphone and your child doesn't will be like, come here. I need to show you all this stuff. Even if you're like, I don't want them to see it. Doesn't matter.
So true.
That's what teen friendships are about.
So true.
As a parent, you need to sit and just accept that's a good friend because they're including my kid. Wow. Even if it's on content that you don't agree with, which is why the safest, most powerful thing you can do is have an open dialogue. So you can say to your kid, what did you see online on Timmy's phone today? What did you see? Like, tell me about it. Was it fun? Was it scary? Was it, and share about you as well. These are some of the things I got sent today by my friend Maria, do you want to see this video? Show them. Right. It's not about this is not yours. It's not yet. You haven't got the skills. You're not ready yet. But we can still teach and we can use these experiences to help our children understand things. And I think the friendship thing is the hardest one of all because it's heartbreaking.
Of course it is.
To feel like your child is excluded or missing out. But really you need to think it's not about the smartphone because it's not. And if your child is being excluded, like I just said, you need to dive into what their friendships are like. What's a healthy friendship? What's a good friendship? What kind of a friend are you? Who is your kid as a friend? How can we work on these skills or, support them better? Because that's the root. The day they get a smartphone, they're going to see rejection so much worse. Oh, you look ugly on that photo, or, dislike, whatever. But also, when they don't get invited to parties, they're not just going to know they weren't invited. They're going to see literally what you said, minute by minute documentation of the party they missed. And that really hurts.
That's going to be painful.
That's more painful than knowing you weren't invited.
100%. I mean, what you just said has triggered me a little bit, if I'm honest, because I remember when I was 16, I went and bought a BlackBerry from, one of those secondhand shops, where they sell laptops and everything. And I went and bought one because I thought that if I had one, I would be cool. and like I would be accepted into the friendship group. And I wanted it because I wanted BBM and everyone was sharing their BBMs. And then I remember I got it and no one wanted to share their BBM with me.
Oh, Shivani.
It's actually making me really upset thinking about it. And I think that when you have a kid or when you even, this also just applies in life, right? Like you think that buying that dress or I don't know, getting this viral video or getting the blue tick is going to make you feel accepted.
Yeah.
But no one can make you feel accepted if you don't accept yourself.
100%.
Like no one can.
That's done something to me, Shivani.
But like once you know that.
Those were not your people as well. It's also about knowing
I find
these
it
are not my
sad
people.
that I used to think like that because I'm not like that anymore. You know, like
but teenagers think like that.
Yeah. I just feel so sad.
It's developmental, contextual.
And it's so hard. And like the thing is, you know, the other thing that I used to do is like, you know, when you're on holiday, like I said, I used to go to the Apple store. And I used to log into the Apple store on my Facebook and I used to see all the things that everyone were doing at home. And it's actually never the thing that they're doing that makes you feel upset. It's the feelings that you attach to it.
Absolutely.
I'm not wanted. They must have planned this when I was on holiday. They look happy, so they're happy that I'm not there. All of these are actually not 100% facts.
No.
And we do this online right now. We look at people making plans without us and we think, they must have organized that so I couldn't go. They knew that I was away that time, so that's why they did it. And then you build this narrative up in your head.
And it's all yours.
And it's all yours.
Based on assumptions, interpretations, projections, feelings, all of that.
It's
like the
never
sunset
the thing.
photo.
Yes.
Maybe you had like a tummy bug and you're lying there and they're like, oh, she's having like the best time of her life. And you're like.
Maybe you had an argument with your partner and he stormed off. So the only thing you can do is take a sunset photo.
There's, you know, the behind. Yeah. But that's really key because that's part of what I feel. Delaying a smartphone isn't the outcome. It's a process. And part of the process is this. How can we talk to our kids about what happens when you go online? All those feelings that show up in you that maybe it's just a photo. Where did they all come from? You know, like, but they come from you. And so teenagers have those interpretations all the time.
I feel bad for them. Now I'm like so sad for all the teenagers, like, because I remember feeling that way and feeling so like such a loser. The reason why I was describing that is I haven't spoken to any parents who have teens, but I do remember always like begging my mum for things like, please, can I get the hair removal thing? Because other people will laugh at me. Never because I feel horrible in my body having hair. It was only when I went to school and I went to Sainsbury's with my mum after school that I said, please, 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 because other people are going to laugh at me. And this is very similar actually to how I feel about having Botox now. I don't know if I personally want to have Botox, but I'm worried that when I'm 40 and I have wrinkles everywhere, that other people are going to be like, look at that old hag, you know, like, and I'm online. And people will make comments. No one's made a comment yet, you know, but it's always like, what will other people think? And I think I'm older in myself now. It's like, I don't think I want it, but does anyone want it? And are we just like saying, oh, I'm doing it for, when people say like, unless you're doing it for you, what does that mean, doing it for you? Who does Botox for them? Because you've got your interpretation of what is right for you through other people.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's a conversation for a different day.
No, but I think it brings up a really important point, which is about external validation, which is about identity, which is about knowing who you are.
Yeah.
And all those things, particularly in adolescence and like early childhood, like kids are not ready for that.
Yes.
And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm like, no, like little ones should not have smartphones. I'm going to push the smartphone with my daughters until they're at least 15. Why? Because they're girls. Yes. Because I know their personalities. So I talk about things like phone flags, depending on your child's temperament.
Right.
I know that my eldest will absolutely seek out that external validation and she will crumble if she doesn't get it. So we're not going there because I need her to find herself, her worth. And it's still going to crumble when at school they don't give her the top grade or, you know, her friends are like, I don't like your hair or, you know, whatever. She doesn't get something, the trainers. It's but I can help her through that in a way that is a little bit slower, a little bit more appropriate for her age than when she goes online and it's like everywhere. You know, it really is like amplified. And so for me, that's really important. And with identity, like what you're talking about there, like, knowing who you are separate to what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
Teenagers want to belong. That's like a core of adolescence. It's to do with their brain. It's to do with development. It's important. It's actually, that sense of belonging is necessary. But belonging online is so unachievable because of the filters, because of the Photoshop, because of, things that, when kids then look in the mirror, they're like, I will never look like that. And I'm like, no, you won't, because that's not real.
Yes.
So we need to have these conversations with our kids and help them through it. Because once they go online, the comparison is going to happen. It happens,
100%.
It happens to you and me.
Of course it does.
I'm in my 40s and I'll see people's like beautiful homes and I'm like, oh, that house looks amazing. Why doesn't my house look like that? I've got toys everywhere and I cleaned up and it still doesn't look.
But we're able to regulate it much quicker.
Yes, because
that's what I found.
Our brains are mature.
I'm able to say, okay.
And also that's not real.
Correct.
That we know that's set up. That could be a studio rather than somebody's house.
But
you
also,
can do that.
I prioritized in doing other things instead of having this beautiful house. So for me, I prioritized in doing. So I do think when you're older, you are able to calculate it in your head and rationalize it.
And do that critical thinking bit.
Exactly.
So we need to teach our kids how to do that before they go online and get so submerged in it that they're like, I can't do it because it's too much.
You mentioned, especially because I have girls. Why did you say that? Do you think it's different for parents who have boys and girls on social media?
I think it's different in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with girls, there's a lot of body image.
Yes.
A bit like you're saying, the Botox, the lip fillers.
Yes. Must look perfect, must wear
things
this.
That I'm thinking about pores, loads of people going, look, I have no pores. I'm like, well, that's weird because you're supposed to have pores. You're human. So I think it's because I see social media through the lens of a woman, for sure.
Right.
I know that boys look at social media in a slightly different way. Yeah. But they get sold things about muscle,
Yes.
Working out. And I think working out is healthy. So don't get me wrong. I think physical movement is so important for children and young people. And building muscle is really important for women as well. It keeps us healthy as we get older. But I think I have met so many young boys who are like, I want a 6-pack. And I'm like, you're 12. Your body hasn't reached maturity yet.
Right.
Your muscle development isn't even there. You're not supposed to have a 6-pack at 12.
Exactly.
And this idea of if they work out enough, they will. I'm like, but they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And also, if you build muscle too soon and your body stretches, you're going to get scarring.
And you're not going to grow. My dad would never let my brother work out.
I mean, it's not right. It's not right on so many levels.
Let's just tell people that. Oh, yeah, it's not right, or it is.
No.
If you work out loads, if you do weights, will it stunt your growth as a kid?
I think it will.
Does. Yeah. Oh, my brother was never allowed to do it. And I remember he'd go in his room and lift his 5-pound weights. And I'm like, it's not really going to do anything. But my dad was like, I didn't grow.
That's not the same as playing on a football pitch or
exactly
team sports or some form of even going to the gym and exercising. But don't try and build a 6-pack when you're your body's not there yet. It's all those things.
It's because we're taught going to the gym will give you a 6-pack. Don't go to the gym for your health. Go to the gym to build a 6-pack. Right? So that's why people think that's the only reason that they go.
To feel good.
Exactly. To have endorphins, to have fun. It's actually crazy to me. And this is actually going back to the other thing we were talking about, is if you don't post it, it's like there's no point doing it. And I remember when I was younger, I had an Apple Watch. I was saying 5-10 years ago now. And I used to think, oh, my Apple Watch is out. I'm not going to go for a walk. Yesterday, my Oura Ring was out and I went for a 2-hour walk. And I was like, I don't care anymore because I'm not working out to count how many steps I'm doing so I can get a 6-pack or count how many calories I'm doing. I'm going for the walk because I want to go for the walk.
Love that.
Right? But I think that is a shift. And I think, that has only happened to me, I think, since I've turned 30. It has that kind of self-assurance, self-belief, that knowing yourself. If the parent doesn't know who they are, how will their child?
So hard.
So how do
but
they
it's
do
never
it?
too late. I mean, it always starts with you. I mean, a lot of my book is about the fact that it begins with us. It begins with our awareness of these things. And then our shifting of our behaviors, like small actions, tiny little tweaks. I call them tweaks because they're not massive changes. They're little things. And then being able to open up conversations with our kids. For sure, for me.
Yeah.
100%. I have changed so much just because I have daughters.
Yeah.
Having them has made me talk to my body differently because I don't want them to be me.
Yeah, of course.
Again, I'm going to get emotional about this. If I talk about my kids, I will get emotional. But I have always had, I used to call it this like critical voice in my head. I used to call it my little devil. And it was so negative, but it was so like, I was so used to it. It just was part of me.
Yeah.
Until the day I was like, wait a minute, this is like not okay. Because if my daughter ever talks to herself like that, it will really hurt me. Like, no way. So having to, change the way I think about my body, change the way that I look at me is like, it's effortful. It takes every day. But over time, I've noticed I actually feel different in my body now. So I used to hate my thighs. And as soon as I called out the devil, it came back because it's always there, but it's okay. I've learned to put you in a box. But now I talk about my strong thighs and the fact that they carry me places.
Of course they do.
And the fact that I can pick up my 2-year-old and my shopping and
wow,
not hurt my back because I've got my thighs, and they, take me for miles when I go on a run, and I can ski on them, and, it makes me really strong, and I can talk about it and I believe it because also that's the truth, rather than my horrible fat thighs, which is what the devil would have said to me. You've got horrible thighs, you can't wear that, you can't do that. And I'm like, talking to my body in that way has only happened because of my daughter. It's not because somebody told me to do it. It's because I recognized that I can't live like this with me and expect my daughter to do something else for her. So that recognition has to begin with us. And I think it's the same with our smartphones. Like, it's just an extension of it. Yes, it's a digital technological thing, but it is about the relationship we have with it. And if we're able to step out of it and go, what relationship do I want to have with it?
Yes.
What feels healthy for me? What's the right balance of when I go on and what I do? How does it make me feel? If you start to do that for you, you're going to start to be able to teach that for your child because you're going to embody it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
100%.
And if you're able to do it, which is what I call it, in your family home, like pledge it to yourself. I am pledging to do this in my home every day, to try. Imperfect. I'm imperfect with it. It's okay. Be messy. Get it wrong sometimes. Scroll for 2 hours and go, I did that wrong. It's okay. Nothing bad will happen. But the fact that you keep trying is going to support your child in learning these skills and actually having them within them. They're going to learn. You put it down sometimes and you pick it up at others, and that's okay.
I love that. I love what you've just said, because I really think that's what you've said throughout this whole podcast, is it just starts with you. Mm-hmm. You've included the family phone pledge in your book. Tell me a little bit about that. And how does that not feel like it's more rules and like restrictions in the home?
I guess it is rules. It's boundaries. But we have rules in our homes regardless. Whether you and often they're unwritten. Like, you do them out of habit. You do them out of habit. Like, I don't know what your house is like, but in my house, you take your shoes off when you come in. So my 2-year-old runs around all the time. So she'll run off and I'll call her and be like, shoes. And she comes back,
Yeah.
But it's not like I've had to sit down and tell them the rule. It's like over time.
Of course.
My 6-year-old always takes off her shoes.
It's natural now. Yeah, of course it is.
So there are so many unwritten rules. Even things like we put a mat down and then we put a plate on top.
So true.
Right? Little tiny things. So small. But you do them out of habit. Nobody teaches you.
Yeah.
When I say to my 6-year-old, lay the table, she always puts the mats out.
Of course she does. She's seen you do it.
She's seen me do it. And that's what the family phone pledge is about. Can you build little habits with your phone in your home that just become natural? They don't become rules. They don't become restrictions. They become, this is the way we are.
Got it.
So for us, it's things like we plug our phones outside. When we have a meal, we have no screens. That is one of our rules. But we've always had it. Me and my husband, apart from pre-kids, Friday nights, we used to sit, have a takeaway, watch a film. Yeah. I didn't want to do anything on a Friday night. I was like, let's crash. And Friday night didn't used to be our going out night. So that's what we did pre-kids. It was our pajamas.
Yeah, love it.
Now I don't do that with the kids because it's too late. They're too small. But I'm looking forward to those Friday takeaway in front of a TV. I will do them when they're a bit older. They're too little. So there's no screens at the table. That's one of our rules. And the other one is there's no screens in our bedrooms.
Great idea.
And sleep is my sanctuary. Anyone who knows me, like all my friends, my university friends used to be like, what's up with you? Like, you love sleeping. I was like, I love sleeping.
Really?
Let me sleep. Just let me sleep.
Right.
Like, I am not okay without it. And since becoming a parent with like, sleepless nights with the kids, I'm like, it's even more important. Because if I only get 5 hours, I'm going to have good 5 hours.
True.
And we know that actually our phones can delay us from falling asleep, even if you just plug them in your room. So we don't.
Really?
Yeah. They're
Even
gone.
if mine's like on the opposite side, but I just got a screen in my room just so I could watch TV at night.
You know
because
what?
I find it comforting. However, do you know what's really weird? This is going to sound so woo-woo. And if you follow me on Instagram, like people follow me on Instagram will know, okay, 2 days ago, I thought I saw a spirit in my room, right?
wow.
In the middle of the night. It was really spooky. It's really scary. So yesterday I went on my Instagram, people were like, you know what? You should say this prayer, leave this prayer on and light an incense stick and put that in your room. So yesterday at like 9 o'clock, I got a book and I put this really soothing prayer on loop. And I lit the incense stick. And when Nickel came in at about 9:15, he was like, oh my God, this feels amazing. And I was like, this is literally heaven. Why are we not reading in bed and listening to this very soft prayer? And this incense is like burning. Felt like we were in this like haven. Like it was
Sounds
so
awesome.
amazing. And I was like, we are not watching TV every night now. And I think I'm going to send the screen back to Amazon because that actually... I don't know. I just felt so relaxed and so at peace. And when I woke up this morning, I felt so happy that that's how I went to bed.
So we've got these stones. They're a bit like, I don't know what they are. They're porous stones. And you put lavender, like essential oil on them. And then it just like, so it's a bit like your incense. So we have that next to our bedroom. We've got low lighting. We've got a beautiful lamp.
Lovely.
Yeah, but I'm very like, it's my boudoir. It's my beautiful space. And I'm only, there are no toys in my bedroom either. Like the kids' toy, this is my room.
Wow.
This is mummy's like sanctuary.
Door locking.
Oh yeah.
Not
sanctuary.
going in there, yeah.
Sanctuary. But what I'm going to say here, which is part of the family phone pledge, is my rules don't have to be your rules.
Yeah.
I am totally, and it has to be okay for you to find other rules. So some people do love watching TV in bed. And I'm like, if that's your thing, go for it. If you're like, it doesn't disrupt my sleep, go for it. I'm not going to do it, but you can. But the important bit is that you create some spaces that are screen free, and you create some spaces where being on a screen is allowed and welcome, right? Like on a sofa, if I have to do something and the kids are around, I will sit on the sofa and I'll do it there.
Yeah.
My daughter, it's not a playroom, but our back room is where all their toys are. So by the kitchen, so I can see them playing. And my daughter has said she doesn't want us to be on our phones in the back room.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh yeah, because your kids should be part of your pledge.
That's nice that she's setting that boundary to be like, this is my safe space.
But you know what that message for me is? That she's saying, I want you present when you're in this space with me. I don't want you on your phone. She didn't say that, but that's what I get from it. And I'm like, that's fair.
That's fair.
She also said, I don't want either of you on your phones in my bedroom. Again, she's like,
my sanctuary.
I want you to be with me.
Of course.
And I'm like, good for you. But you know what? She's 6. And we are doing our best to follow some of these. They're only, by the way, it doesn't mean we're never on our phones in our house, but not in these spaces as much as we can. But then I'm like, one day she'll be a teenager and she will have a phone and hopefully she'll be living with me. And
forever.
Forever. She's never leaving. And, when it comes to those rules, she'll be like, oh no, but I created some of these rules. So like they got to stick. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll just become,
correct.
This is how I use my phone in this house.
Those are her boundaries rather than what you're imposing on her.
There are boundaries.
Yeah. No, but I mean like her room is like, I created that. So like it's not my mum telling me I can't be on my phone in my room. It's like
and maybe she will be during the day.
Yeah, but maybe it's like my parents weren't on their phones in my room. And so like this is my space to not be on it or something.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts actually on FaceTiming people when your kid is like 6 months, a year, 2 years? Because like all I'm hearing is that it's not good for kids to be on phones, like have screens like in their face. But then everyone's on FaceTime like, hello, like is that detrimental or not really?
Not really.
Okay, fine.
I actually think if you're going to use something like FaceTime, like video calls, it's probably one of the best things you can do on a screen.
Okay.
Little ones, tiny baby, they will not look at it. Like yeah, until they're about 2, things on a screen don't really mean anything. It's just movement and lights and, but they don't have that ability to interact. So I've got a 2-year-old now and she watches a little bit of TV, the things that I am like, you can watch this. She loves Hey Dougie, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And she will sing with it and she'll dance with it. And so she's, interacting with what she's watching.
Yeah.
But before then, she'd be like, yeah, whatever, I see lights. But she moved on. So FaceTime, video calling as your kid gets older, I think it's a really good thing to do, especially with family members or friends that you don't see very much. They did some research on the difference between texting, voice calls, and things like video calls, FaceTime. And what they found was that texting doesn't impact on your nervous system. So if you're really anxious and you get a text that's reassuring or comforting, it's not going to do anything for you.
Okay.
But if you have a phone call, voice note, hear somebody's voice saying something comforting, like, hey, I've been thinking of you. I hope you're okay. I'm here for you if you need me, right? Or a quick FaceTime or a video where they see your face, it actually soothes them.
Wow.
And I think there's something beautiful in that, which is no matter how much technology we have, we are always human. Yes. And we need that humanness, that tone of voice, our facial features, our expressions. We need that. A text, it's just words on a piece of paper.
So true.
And again, you can interpret those words and you can misinterpret the tone.
So true.
And it doesn't soothe us. It doesn't give us the comfort that the other bits give us. And I think that's really important too.
What's one piece of advice you would give to parents who are struggling with setting boundaries with their kids on their smartphones?
Talk to your kids. Open up the conversation. Don't open it up to lecture them, to set a rule, to set the boundary. That comes later. If you're struggling to set the boundary, sit with your kid. Just be with your kid and be like, I'm worried. Like, always own what it is you want to say. I'm worried, or it makes me nervous that you're always on your screen. I don't know what you're doing. I'm scared. Just own it and open up the conversation. Get curious with them. What do you do online?
Yeah.
How does it affect them? How do they feel? How do they feel without? Can you negotiate? Can you think together? I really think you spend too much time on a screen, but also don't give them nothing instead. I think rather than being on the screen on Sunday all day, why don't we plan something nice? So remember, you used to love cycling and we don't do that anymore. Why don't we go? It's sunny this weekend and it's not going to be sunny forever because autumn's coming. So do you want to get on your bike? Shall we go and do something? Like, I'll find a cool bike route. We'll take some snacks. Why don't we do that? Join them.
Yes.
Not get off your screen and leave them and they're like, and now what do I do?
So true.
Actually, if you get them off your screen, give them something to feel good about. And often for me, that's connection. And it's doing an activity or doing something pleasurable. And if you're able to offer them that and it feels good, they're going to come off their screen.
So true.
Does that make sense?
100%. Honestly, one of the best things I learned in therapy is the more you try to control things, the less you're communicating. And the more you try to communicate, the less you have to control.
I love that.
And so much of the time, we're so focused on, I'm fearful of this, so I'm going to control it. You're not communicating it. And if you did communicate it, you'd have less need to control it.
Absolutely. And that's why I said at the beginning, fear is like a terrible position to stay in and like to make choices from, which is why a big chunk of my book is to open awareness, to really make you think about the choices you make. Yes. But then a lot of it is scripts, like open the dialogue. If you're a parent, you're like, but I don't even know where to start the conversation. I've scripted some for you. And it's really not as difficult as you think. It really does start with, hey, can we talk about this? Don't worry. I'm not going to tell you to get rid of your phone. I just want to talk. I want to understand. Learn to listen to your kids.
Yeah.
I think, there's a shift as a parent from what I've got, a toddler and a primary school kid, to a teenager.
Yes.
You need to listen to your teenagers, all right? They're not going to listen to you by default like my toddler does. Come back. Okay. They're like not listening to you.
Right.
Teenagers listen to you when they feel seen, when they're like, you get me. Yeah. You value me. You understand my world. You understand why my phone is important.
Yes.
Then they might listen to you.
True.
Like, you need to go in and be with your kid rather than control your kid.
Yeah. I love it. Honestly, I have absolutely loved this conversation. I feel like I need to get you back on though, because there's just so much we have to talk about. But thank you so much. I really am excited for people to read your book, and I'm very excited to have you back on.
Thank you so much.